Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody to
Hare Krishna.
our regular Bhakti Sastri discussion.
And with pranam.
Pranam. Okay. I really appreciate your effort to attend the early morning class. Yeah. All right. So let's start by reciting the Mangalachan prayers. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapdantika Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutaparakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vidam Tam Sajiva Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyacha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Bhayate Girim Yat Kripa Tamaham Vande Sri Gurun Dinatana Hare Krishna. So in our previous discussion, we have discussed how Krishna again and again convinced Arjuna to fight according to his own duty as Kshatriya. So Lord Krishna gave many examples, like one of the examples that he gave is Janaka Maharaj, and also he himself, Krishna himself, Krishna stating that if I don't perform my duties, so the whole world will become destroyed. So basically, Lord Krishna inducing Arjuna to fight, to follow his duty, even though one may situated in a transcendental platform, so he should act according to his own prescribed duties, but in a detached way. Yeah. One of the purposes is that to set up the example. Because as Krishna explained to Arjuna, yad yada charati srestas tata devetaro janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokas tadanuvartate. So whatever a great person performs, so it will be followed by the common people because he set up the example. So, and in this section, we will see how Krishna will be explaining to Arjuna that actually, after all, we are not the doer. Okay. Yeah, Prabhupada. So, after all, we are not the doer. We are controlled by the three modes of material nature, which are actually Krishna's energy. Yeah. So somehow or other, we have to act. We cannot be inactive. In chapter 2, we have discussed that the souls, the nature of the souls are always to be active. The soul cannot be inactive. Yeah. Therefore, the Mayavadis, after they get the impersonal liberation, they cannot stay there forever. They have to come back because they need some engagement. For example, now here, we are locking ourselves in our own room. How long we can stay inside the room without doing anything? Yeah, well, unless if you sleep for 12 hours, for example, as soon as you wake up, you need some engagement. So you open the door and come out to do something. So that's happened to the impersonalists who merge into the Brahmajyoti, Sometimes we need, sometimes we think like this: I need my own space. You just go inside your room and lock it, and you feel happy. Nobody will disturb you. You feel so peaceful. But then, how long you can stay alone? So that's happened to the Mayavadi. Therefore, their philosophy is being refuted just by this small example. Just by this small example. Because the nature of the soul is to be always active. And if we don't act for Krishna, then in the other way, we will act for Maya. These are the only two options that we have. Therefore, we left in text number 26 in our previous class. So we will continue to text number 27, where Krishna is explaining to Arjuna that actually you are not the doer. The Prakriti is the doer, Krishna's energy. We are under Krishna's control, ultimately. Yes, text number 27. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimudhatma kartaha iti manyate. The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Okay, ahankara vimudha atma. So by the influence of one's false ego, one thinks that he is the doer. Yeah, vimudha means bewildered. Purport. A materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptoms of his nescience. And this is from Surrender Unto Me. Here, Krishna explains that while the foolish conditioned soul thinks himself the doer, the one accomplishing his work, the work is actually being carried out by the three modes of material nature, by the gunas. Srila Prabhupada, however, refers to an ultimate doer in his purport. Okay, so ultimately, who is the doer? Krishna, right? Because the three modes of material nature are Krishna's energy, the Bahir Anga Shakti of the Lord, and then Krishna is the ultimate controller. Therefore, in one sense, actually, Krishna is controlling our movement. Yeah. So we are not the doer. So better to act on behalf of Krishna's desire. Yes, Rasa Sindhu Giridhari Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, can you please help us understand difference between ego and false ego?
Yes, very nice question. Yes, Srila Prabhupada, in one occasion, he explained there are two types of ego. One is real ego and one is false ego. Yeah, so real ego means when we understand our constitutional position as Krishnera Nityadas. Yeah, so when we understand that we are the servant of the Lord and act according to that nature, so that is called a real ego. And then false ego, of course, when we identify ourselves with the body and thinking that aham mameti, it's me, it's mine, what I do is because of me, the result, everything that I accomplish is due to my own effort. This is called false ego. Yeah, as simple as that. Okay, Prabhu?
Prabhu, sometime I won't say amongst devotees, but various other seminars, conferences that I attend, people often even connect this false ego with Aham Brahmasmi. So we all also follow Aham Brahmasmi concept or the phrase, and I've heard a lot of people from other sampradayas and other following branches using Aham Brahmasmi as I am God. So how do we counter that understanding of Aham?
Yes, see, here's the things. The Aham Brahmasmi conception is not wrong, actually. In one sense, it is a real ego, because one understands his own position as the spirit soul. But Aham Brahmasmi in itself is not complete understanding of one's own position. It's just a half perfected knowledge. Unless one understands one's sambandha with Krishna, then simply understanding one's is Brahman or the spirit soul is not at all enough to achieve the highest perfection. So I would say that there is nothing wrong in understanding Aham Brahmasmi, because we also as devotees, we accept this, that I am the spirit soul, but we have higher knowledge than simply understanding that one is Brahman. So the Mayavadi thinks that Aham Brahmasmi means I'm Narayan, he is Narayan, this stone is Narayan, this tree is Narayan. Because ultimately everything is Narayan and will be merged with God. Merging with God for them means they become God. But for us, merging with God means we merge in the abode of God, in which actually we still keeping our own identity. The example given is that just like a green bird enters into a green tree, from far you see that this green bird is merging into the tree. Does the bird becomes tree? No. The bird just enter a tree and make a nest or do something there. But the tree and the bird remain separated entities. So Aham Brahmasmi is right understanding, but it's just a half perfected knowledge. Yeah. That's how we say.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Rati Manjari Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhu, I just wanted to know, when we say that everything that we do is happening under the influence of the three modes, this could also be taken as an excuse for some of us by doing that. Oh, it's Krishna who's making do something wrong, and so just wanted to.
Yes. Thank you so much for this question. One time here in the class in Mayapur, so there is a discussion on the creation, right? The matter of creation and how the demigods actually, they are in charge of different parts of our body. Yeah. For example, the eyes is controlled by Surya, because without light, the eyes cannot see, that's one example. And then the fire digestion is controlled by Agni, things like this. The arm is controlled by the, who's that? The brother of Ganesh. Kartikeya. Yes, Kartikeya, because he's the chief commander in heaven. So the arm is controlled by Kartikeya, and so on and so forth. Then I raise my hands, I ask a question, So if all these demigods are in charge and control of our body, and when we do something wrong, why we have to be responsible for our sins? Why not these demigods responsible for these sins, right? And everybody was laughing because of my questions. So the answer is, your question is similar to what question that I asked. So sometimes we take excuse, oh, okay, Krishna is in control. Ultimately, Krishna is in control. So whatever good, whatever bad I do is because of Krishna. Without his sanction, without his permission, not even a blade of grass can move, right? So Maya Dyaksena Prakriti Suyatesha Characharam Hetu Nanena Kaunteya Jagad Viparivartati. What to speak of a blade of grass, Jagad Viparivartati, the whole world moved because of his desire. Yeah, this we will find in the 9th chapter later. So regarding your question, yes, sometimes we take excuse, but we should not. Yeah, but we should not take excuse that saying, okay, Krishna is in control. Okay, I can do whatever. If Krishna wanted it happen, it's happened. No, but that's actually a wrong way of thinking. Here, how we can think that how I put this together. Because we have this slight minor independency. So Krishna respects that, and just like a small child, crying, asking for something that which is not very good. For example, we play on our phone, but we don't allow our children to play with the phone, right? Sometimes this happens, but the child just cry like anything, and finally, okay, we give our phone. So because Krishna is our parents, so he respects this desire because we have the minor independency, but Krishna already warned us, if you do this, here is the consequences. That's why Krishna writes, Krishna provides us the Vedas. We will come to this point of discussion of following rules and regulations in the Vedas. So therefore, what is the purpose of Vedas to be existed? In order to control the living entities. Yeah, because everything is written. If you do this, here is the consequences. So now it's up to you, So now it's up to you. If we take this kind of excuses that, okay, Krishna is in control, so if I do something wrong, Krishna is responsible. No. Because Krishna already warned us, don't do this. But still, we are crying. There is a beautiful pastime of Srila Prabhupada in Prabhupada Lilamrita. Probably you have heard this, that when Srila Prabhupada was 5 years old, so his father, Gaur Mohan Dey, took him to a marketplace, and Srila Prabhupada crying for a gun toy. And finally, his father bought one gun toy for him. And he's still crying and rolling on the ground. And then his father said that, why are you still crying? Prabhupada said, I want 2 guns, one for each hand. And finally, okay, his father bought another gun toy for Srila Prabhupada. So here's the thing. Because of Krishna respecting our minute independency, because he loves us. That's why even he allow us to perform sinful reaction, but the consequences we have to be responsible on our own hands. That's the thing. That's why Krishna actually, he feels hurt when we perform some sinful activities. He doesn't like it. But what to do? You force him. Just like why small things is that why we are here in the material world. Because we ask Krishna, I want to be separated from you, Krishna. So with his heavy heart, Krishna said, okay, my dear child, there you go. Yeah. So like this, Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. All right, we shall continue our discussion. Text number 28. One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth, Almighty Arm, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work in devotion and work for further result. The knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in material association. He knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and that his position should not be in the material creation. This is from Sarinder Anthony. What makes the difference between work in devotion and work for free results is knowledge, the Tattvavid, or knower of the absolute truth. According to Srila Viswanath Chakravarti Thakur, thinks, I am not a guna, a quality of modes of nature, nor any product of a guna, nor do I have any connection with any of the gunas or the products of the gunas. He is, as Srila Prabhupada states, convinced of his awkward position in material association. Yeah. So it is clear from here that actually work might be the same, but what makes it different? The knowledge, the consciousness. Yeah, the consciousness. Let's take, for example, like our His Grace Jayananda Prabhu. So he was a taxi driver. Yeah, he was a taxi driver, but all his money he gave to Srila Prabhupada. And we've seen so many other taxi drivers, but they use their money for their own sense gratification. So this is the difference. Yeah, what makes the work becomes transcendental when it is connected to Krishna. So as easy as this is called the Tattvavid. Tattvavid means one who sees the truth, one who knows the truth. Yeah. Therefore, the devotee remains transcendental in his fixed position as long as he connected everything in Krishna's service. Yeah. But however, we should avoid the Ugra Karma type of work. Yeah, Ugra Karma means that activities which is actually sinful. You cannot perform sinful activities and connect it to Krishna. Just like in the early days of ISKCON, one of Srila Prabhupada's disciple said to Srila Prabhupada, so Prabhupada, everything is belong to Krishna, and whatever we do, it should be dedicated to Krishna, right? And Prabhupada said, yes. So we need so much money now to print books, to build temples. Can we rob a bank then use the money for Krishna? And Prabhupada said, no, you should not do this. Yeah, this is sin. Yes, Rasa Sindhu Prabhu.
Prabhu, related question, some extent a follow on what Rati Manjari Mataji asked, and somewhat coming from this particular shloka also. See, we as devotees, we desire for always being engaged in Krishna's service. We want to, okay, depending on whatever time that we can pull out of our other engagements, etc. We desire that directly, indirectly, whichever way we should be engaged. And I can't speak for others, but for myself. That when we get initiated, like Diksha, we all, and having read Prabhupada Leela, we all feel that like Shyam Sundar Prabhu, like Yamuna Mataji, we'll be Krishnizing the whole world. We'll be traveling all over the world and preaching. But very soon the things start changing, or I don't know if I should use the word, we become practical and get absorbed in our day-to-day life, and the other desires start to take over. Somewhere we can say, it is on the effect of modes or three modes of material nature. But why despite desiring that we should always be engaged in Krishna's service, we still get attracted or dragged into that other direction?
I see. Yes. Thank you. This is a practical question. Yeah. So that's why Srila Prabhupada, he desired that the devotees should live in the Vaishnava community based on Varnashram, based on agriculture and cow protection. This is the 50% left mission of Srila Prabhupada. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada, before he went to US to preach, so he wrote an essay called Gita Nagari. And then Srila Prabhupada, he has planned for this movement that he wants to establish. I think I talked about this earlier. That first, his plan is Sankirtan movement. The second plan, the second wave is temple initiation movement. The third one is that temple worship. And then the fourth one is the classless society movement, or the Daiva Varnashram mission of Srila Prabhupada. So the other three, the first three already being accomplished. Sankirtan is everywhere, preaching is going on, Namahata, like this. And then initiation taking place and deity worship, we have many temples around the world, but Vaishnava community, there are only few Vaishnava communities. As Srila Rupa Goswami explained, that the Sadhu Sangha is actually considered to be the fence, which is actually protecting the Bhakti creeper. We'll discuss this more in details in the Nectar of Devotion. Yeah. Therefore, despite of our desire to be always engaged in Krishna service, because of our environment is not supporting, that's why our mind goes here and there. And finally, we fall victim of Maya and the three modes of material nature, and then we engage somehow or other in some other directions. Yeah, okay, we have some community like in Hungary, for example, Krishna Valley. So we have devotee community. And okay, let's say Mayapur. Well, Mayapur is a dham, everybody is like wearing tilak, putting on kantimala. Everywhere you hear, everybody is singing Hare Krishna, walking with japamala. This is how we can remind ourselves to Krishna. Okay, and we have also in Indonesia one Vaishnava community started by His Holiness Bhakti Swami Maharaj. So in this community, actually, like 25 years ago, we purchased a forest land. Everybody is thinking, are you crazy? Why you are buying land here? Like in the middle of nowhere. And then some devotee families start moving there, and then now we have around 45 families, all devotees. We have our own temple, we have our own school, we have our own farmland, so we try to produce as much as necessities for the temples, for the community. And then the land certificate is kept locked inside the temple locker, not in devotees' houses. The purpose is that if it is kept in the devotee's house individually, independently, they may sell it out to the non-devotees. We don't want it. So only devotees are allowed to purchase land in that village. Yeah, it's really nice. I visited that village. It's called Gita Nagari. So in Indonesia, you can Google it. Gita Nagari in Indonesia. So we have this community. And then they have Ratha Yatra every Saturday. Yeah, they take out the deities, Radha Madan Gopal, on a palanquin. And we have our Raja Marg, around the village. So we circle the village every Saturday. So even during COVID, we still, as community, going out every Saturday, having our own festival. Otherwise, we are locked because the rules is made by the devotees. The leaders are devotees. We have our own school, devotee school. The teachers are devotees. So this is the beauty of having a Vaishnava community. Therefore, well, of course, it's not an easy task, to move right away overnight from city to village. For many of us, actually, village life might be very difficult because we were born in the city, we got accustomed, we adopted, we grow up in the city with this kind of lifestyle, water just coming out from the tap automatically. Now you go to the village, you have to pump the water. For some of us, might be austere, So here's the thing, Prabhu. Association. Yeah, association is the foundation. The basic foundation of our practice is association. Therefore, despite of, you are rightly mentioning, despite of I want to be engaged in the service of the Lord 24 hours, but because of the association. It is not at all possible. Look around us now. If you come out from your house, you know, all this advertisement, you know, like, you know, one time I saw there is an advertisement. I was traveling by train. The train stopped in one station, and then there is an advertisement of a car, a new car. Purchase this new car and enjoy the envy of your neighbor. So this kind of advertisement we see, you know, oh, for some people they're thinking, oh yeah, if I have this car, you know, I will look great, I will look rich and confident in my life, and my neighbor will glorify me. Some of them will envy because they don't have this car. So it's like our surrounding will automatically influence our thought. Therefore, association, yeah. As much as possible, we have to associate ourselves. See, Prabhu, for example, if we are in the temple on Sunday, yeah, today maybe some of you may be going to the temple, engage in some services, your mind will be observed in the service. But as soon as you step out, aha, ping, 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 so many things. Yes. So it's still our homework as devotees, you know, to fulfill this mission of Srila Prabhupada, to establish Vaishnava community. I know that some of our leaders in ISKCON working hard on this. One of the example is His Holiness Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. Yeah, he tried to establish different farms projects. Yeah, in Salam we have also this Vaishnava community. Not many communities like this. And this is how we try to keep ourselves safe. Yeah. Rati Manjari Mataji.
Prabhuji, I just wanted to add on to that. Is the eco village in Mumbai established by Radhanath Swami Maharaj is also an attempt to establish the Vaishnava community, or is it?
Okay, this Govardhan village. Yeah, I never been there, but I have been asking different devotees about this Govardhan village, which is actually a nice place, but it is mostly for Vaishnava retreat. Yeah, it is for Vaishnava retreat. Some groups of students, like college students, who are being preached by some of our devotees, and then they took them there for a Vaishnava retreat, maybe for 2 or 3 days, where they have like yoga center, seminars going on, things like this, which is actually a great initiative, I would say. But it is not yet heading toward that establishing of Vaishnava community. It's mostly for retreat. There's like a replica of Govardhan, replica of Yamuna. I never been there personally, but I have seen some videos which looks like very attractive, where they conducted some courses, seminars, yoga classes, so on and so forth, which is mainly for the preaching purposes. But then after this, they will go back to their own places. Okay. But I would say it is a great step heading toward that mission to establish the Vaishnava community. At least those who visited this place, especially for the non-devotees, they have the impetus that they develop their bhakti rasa up to some extent, because it's a beautiful place. I have seen the videos, and some of our sannyasis commenting like it is very much recommended to visit this place once in a lifetime at least, you know. And yeah, some places I have seen established by Lokanath Maharaj in Maharashtra, near Nagpur. I went there a long time ago in 2014. There is a farm community there near Nagpur. I forgot exactly the name of the place. It's not so far from Ramtek Temple, if you heard about Ramtek Temple. Yes. So there is a farm community established by His Holiness Lokanath Maharaj. So I mean, like, there are a few of these in which actually we try to establish it, mainly for the purpose is to keep ourselves safe. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji, Shivani Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. I was just trying to add on what you said about Govardhan Eco Village.
Mhm.
Prabhu, recently, we also heard that it's basically an example of an integrated form of living, in the community, where the devotees themselves are doing all the agriculture things and everything, and they take it up. So it's more a replica of a Vrindavan Dham, so that people
Yes.
don't miss it. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. Well, hopefully one day we can go there and see. Yeah. One farm project is near Udupi. It is called the Sri Krishna Balaram Kshetra. But I went there till now, the devotees are struggling, because not everybody are ready, to live on the land like this. So we still have some devotees still staying there. Devotees, different families keep coming and going, give it a try, I would say. A recent report that I got, we have around 50 cows now, including bulls and calf. But this is how we try, to keep ourselves safe. And in fact, actually, during the COVID, only those who are living in the Vaishnava community and farmers, they have no anxiety. Even we in Mayapur, we got so much anxiety. The roads are blocked, no sabjiwalas coming in. And we are thinking what is the use of having money, but there's no food available. And then His Holiness Japatka Maharaj said that, okay, now it's time for you to grow your own food. And finally, we utilize some of our land here in Mayapur to, grow rice for Radha Madhava because we don't have. Yeah. So here's the thing. Yeah, farm. Ultimately, if we're not starting to move working on the land and nature, we will be forced by the due course of times. Because as Srila Prabhupada mentioned, this modern civilization is a doomed civilization. There is a lecture that if I find it, I would like to share with you. Prabhupada clearly mentioned modern civilization is a doomed civilization. Yeah, it's like we seen it. Yeah, we have seen this. Just it's a matter of time. Anyway, just leave that aside. Our topic here is that devotees association. Yeah. Fortunate if you can live near the temple, but otherwise, yes, we have to struggle. Yeah, we have to struggle. Like in Bali also, we have community devotees called the Gaura Hari. You can search also in Google. I think it's there, Gaura Hari. Now we have around 40 to 50 devotee families also living in that village. We have Radha Madhava deities. Yeah. So like this. I was joining the Brahmacharya ashram in this temple. Yeah. It's nice. I feel it nice, everybody going for Mangalarati in the morning, different devotees getting some services. But still, this community is not a self-sufficient community. Yeah, because some of them are doing farming around this village, but most of the devotees, they go out for work and come back, going in the morning and come back in the evening. But still, it's kind of, somewhat a safe place, I would say. Sivani Mataji.
Prabhu, I don't know if I'm right in asking this question, but something is popping in my mind. Prabhu, when you say Vaishnava community, like Prabhupada had a mission to have a Vaishnava community also. So, but then I'm thinking if the devotees are not living in the, not living along with the non-devotees, are we not going to have a very limited zone where we will be able to influence the non-devotees and let them come to the temple and join the Vaishnava community?
Yes.
Take on spirituality further.
Thank you. Here what Srila Prabhupada explained. City is preaching base, village is living base. We live in the Vaishnava community and we have our Sankirtan party going out to preach and then come back. Yeah, Prabhupada clearly mentioned it, that the village is a living base. City is a preaching base. So we preach, we go out. Of course, we have to go out, but for our own safety, we have to live in the Vaishnava community amongst the devotees. That is common practice everywhere in our temple. Like here we have 700 brahmacharis in ISKCON Mayapur, but not all of them stay in Mayapur. We have how many traveling Sankirtan buses? I think around 10 to 15. So they keep changing, they go out for 1 month and then they come back and then another group of brahmachari will go and then this brahmachari stay here. It's like this, So their base is here, but they keep moving around to preach and then they come back like this. So that's how we do. It's a general practice in any of the temples or community that we live in. It is not that we just stay and then we don't go out to preach. We also go out to preach. Yeah. All right, we have to continue, otherwise we will stuck only in 2 slokas today. I want to finish up the chapter 3. Text 29. Bewildered by the modes. Oh, 1 minute. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. Men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. What is the 9th offense in the chanting of the holy names? Yeah.
It's not to...
Go ahead, Mataji.
Yeah, it is not to preach to a non-devotee, like, someone who is not willing to.
Yes, to preach to the faithless.
Yes,
about the glories of the holy name of the Lord. But here's the thing, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned, the devotees are more kind than the Lord himself. Why we are not allowed to convince the faithless about devotional service? Because at one point, if we are forcing them, despite of their resistance, if we force them, they may create Vaishnava aparat. Therefore, Krishna gave us this injunction: you better not force them, just leave them alone. Otherwise, they may hurt you and they will commit Vaishnava aparat. If they commit Krishna aparat, it's okay. Krishna can tolerate as many offenses, but Krishna cannot tolerate a small offense against his devotees. Yeah, that's why Krishna told that don't force them to take up devotional service. If they don't want, so leave them alone. But the devotee said no, still they will preach. The best example is Nityananda Prabhu, up to the point that he was being hit by Madhai. Yes, his head. So therefore, devotees are more merciful than Krishna. And therefore, it is advised that we take shelter at the devotee's lotus feet first, then Krishna. Yeah. Satyam satyam punah satyam eva punah vinadadha prasarena mat prasado na vidyate. So without getting the mercy of Srimati Radharani. Vinarada prasadena mat prasadu. Lord Krishna told Narad Muni, you cannot get my mercy. That means the principle is that without taking shelter of the devotees, we cannot get Krishna's mercy. Yeah. Although here Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, in this particular verse, said that okay, if they don't want to engage in devotional service, just don't disturb them. But devotees will disturb. Yeah, we disturb not because of we are envious, no, but we feel compassion. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he mentioned that one who criticizes you the most is actually your best friend. Because they will find our fault. They will point out our fault for us to know that, yes, if we are humble enough, we will think, oh, thank you, Prabhu, thank you, Mataji. You have found this fault on me. So I will work out on that. But if we are not humble enough, immediately we will become offended and become angry. But of course, as devotees, we should not find fault on others, especially toward the devotees. But if somebody finds fault on us, we have to accept it as, yes, this is the mercy of the Lord that He had shown me my mistake here. Yeah. So it's not easy to become humble. Text 30. Mayi sarvani karmani sannyasyadyat macetasa nirasya nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jvaraha. Therefore, O Arjun, surrendering all your works unto me, with full knowledge of me, without desires for profit, with no claims to proprietorship, and free from liturgy, fight. So basically what Krishna mentioned here is that everything is under my control, so you don't have choice. Just do your duty under my instruction. Nirasihi means without desire for profit. Nirmamaha, without ownership. Prabhupada gave the example like the cashier. The cashier may count millions of dollars for his employer, but he does not claim a cent for himself. Similarly, one has to realize that nothing in the world belongs to any individual person, but that everything belongs to the Supreme Lord. This is called the Ishyavasya principle, that we will discuss in the Sri Upanishad. Text 31. Those persons who execute their duties according to my injunctions and who follows this teaching faithfully without envy become free from the bondage of fruitive action. The injunction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is the essence of all Vedic wisdom, and therefore is eternally true without exception. So, this is a lecture by Srila Prabhupada. So, when a man comes to this knowledge that I am serving, so why not serve the Supreme? This is knowledge. This is the perfection of knowledge. Nobody can free from being a servant. Either you become a servant of God or you become a servant of dog. You must be a servant. So the intelligent person, a wise person, he prefers to servant of God instead of becoming servant of dog. Whoever are you, ultimately you are a servant. Even though you are the Prime Minister of India, let's say, for example, you are thinking that you are the #1 person in India. But what are you doing? You are serving the whole country. You are serving the whole country. If you're not doing your duty properly, the whole people, the whole citizens will come to your face and complain why you are not doing it properly, right? So ultimately, all of us meant to serve. As Srila Prabhupada mentioned, instead of serving dog, so better to serve God. I went to Russia. In Russia, it's very popular. People are walking with their dogs, to the park, everywhere, to the street. And then while walking with the dog, so they carry a special bag, special box that is meant for the dog's stool. And when the dog pass stool, so they put on glove with so much love. They chastise their dog. Hey, why you are pooping here? And then took the stool and then remove the glove, cover the stool, put inside this special box. So we have only two choices. Either we serve God or we serve dog. Yes, Bupalaka Govinda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Ratmanam to all the Vaishnavas. Prabhuji, servant of servant is what we always keep hearing.
Yes, Gopi Bhatu Pada Kamalayor.
Sometimes our ego goes like that, Prabhuji. Suppose we're working in an organization. All of them are servants. The boss, the immediate boss, everybody. But sometimes when you feel something wrong and you start highlighting that and saying that I'm doing the service to the company, and still you may be hurting some and you may be giving the good things for others. So how to understand this? And most of the time we get fixed in this kind of thing, that rather than being a servant of servant, we try to become boss over something. So how we have to act accordingly?
Yes, we all facing this problem. Either we work in the outside world or inside ISKCON, inside ISKCON, outside somewhere, especially when we get a little bit high position, we start thinking that, yes, I am the in charge. So we all have this problem because we have been associating with the three modes of material nature for a long period of time, millions of lifetimes, So we have this tendency of being proud of our position, and yeah, how to do this? Well, what can I say? Become humble is not at all easy, So one of the way is, of course, to remove this anartha is not easy, but one way I would say, like Prahlad Maharaj mentioned in the 7th canto, what is that verse? Sprisatyanartha pagamo yadataha mahiya sampada rajo visekam niskinchananam navrinityavat. So mahirajam mahiyasam pada rajo abhisekam niskinchananam. So we have to associate ourselves with the Niskinchan devotees. What is the meaning of Niskinchan? Niskinchan means one who has no more material desire. Associate, and then pada rajo abhisekam. We have to take the dust of that lotus feet of that great Vaishnava and pour over our head, So Sprisatya anartha, and in this way the anartha can be removed. Can be removed. But practically speaking, we are dealing in our day-to-day life, to become the Gopi Bhatu Padakamalaya or Dasa Dasa Anudas, to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis, It requires hard work. It requires a lot of practice, Unless we grind our own self to become humble, no, you can't do this. But here's the thing, while managing the temple, let's say, for example, you get some certain position, sometimes you have to act artificially as if you are not humble. Because if you don't have the Kshatriya Bhava, you cannot become manager of something. You have to scream, you have to chastise. Sometimes you don't smile because you are in the position of a leader. But again, within, you have to develop this detachment. this understanding that, yes, I'm Krishna's servant, I'm the servant of these devotees. So sometimes you have to chastise, but it should be only outwardly. But sometimes also we carry it out. We are being carried away, and then we are forgetting that, yes, I'm holding this position meant to serve. Instead, we are thinking, I am to be served here. Others should serve. So it requires a lot of hard work. Of course, maybe we have to chant our japa more seriously. That's one of the ways. Take as much as opportunity to serve the Vaishnavas, because Vaishnavas, the mercy of the devotees is so powerful. Yeah. One time Srila Prabhupada was asked in the morning walk, his disciple asked it, so Prabhupada, how to become sincere devotee? And Prabhupada just turned his face toward his devotees and he said, just be sincere. So how to become humble? Just be humble. But it needs a lot of hard work. Yeah. Hare Krishna. So what do you think, Bupalaka Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. It's okay, Prabhuji. We understand that we are in our position, constitutional position, but then sometimes we get chastised very badly that we cannot able to tolerate. That chastisement is so ridiculous that it just doesn't suit our thing. How to actually overcome that is a problem.
Yeah. It's just because of our false ego. We don't accept chastisement. Yeah. If we are humble, that's the key. If we are humble, we will accept the chastisement as mercy from the devotees. As I told earlier that, yes, you pointed out my mistake, so I will work on this. Did I tell you the pastime of Harikesh Maharaj being slapped by Srila Prabhupada with hot chapati? Yes. So when he was slapped by that hot chapati by Srila Prabhupada, he felt like, wow, I was in the greatest ecstasy. So the chastisement from the spiritual master or from your superior or senior devotees who's in charge of you is actually the manifestation of their love toward us. If you have small kids, if you have a son, for example, and then your son starts smoking cigarette, what will you do? You chastise, right? Why you chastise? Because you love him. But if you see somebody on the street, the rickshaw driver, for example, smoking cigarette, will you chastise? No. Because you don't have any connection, no feeling, no affection, no love. He can do whatever he wants. He's not my relative anyway. So take the chastisement as the manifestation of your in charge or senior devotee, spiritual master's mercy. Otherwise, we may give up our practice and we may hate the devotees. Yeah. So it requires a lot of practice. But that is the principle. Lalane bahavo dosa, tadane bahavo gunaha. Tasmat putram cha sisyam cha, tadaye natulalaya. This is from the Chanakya Niti. Tasya putram cha sisyam cha. You can chastise only your putra, your son or your daughter, or your sisya, your disciple, or somebody who is your dependent. Others you should not chastise. Lalane bahavo dosa. If you don't chastise, they will develop bad quality. Yeah. If you are being chastised because you're not getting up for Mangalarti, for example, when I was staying in ashram, if I'm late for Mangalarati, so the senior devotees who's in charge will throw a bottle on us. They will make noise, make us to get up to take bath and go for Mangala Arati. If I don't feel good, maybe I will just go out from the ashram immediately. But that's the military chastisement for us, And it's ultimately for our own good. So here is the thing, Balaka Prabhu. I would say that don't take the action immediately. Don't conclude the things so fast. After being chastised, sometimes we have to try to digest that chastisement. Try to digest that chastisement. Is it true like this? It is. Okay. Sometimes we feel that it's not worth it. I'm doing small thing, small mistake, and he chastised me like for many days. Okay. One more example I want to give here is that one time Gauranga Prabhu, His Grace Gauranga Prabhu, the disciple of Radhanath Maharaj, so he's like very active preacher, even till now also. And he's preaching, he's going out for preaching, and then he comes back at night, So he has his own spot where he sleep on the ashram. When he sleep in the ashram, so there are many devotees sleeping in that hall, and then in one spot, he claimed to be his own spot. This is the Gauranga Das spot, So every day he sleep there. And then one day he went out, and then his spot was taken by another brahmachari, And then he came at night. Of course, he was tired, and hungry, sleepy, after he took bath, eating prasadam. And then, hey, my spot is taken. And then he just woke these devotees up with anger, hey, why you are taking my spot? Chalo, this is my spot. And then he slept. And then this brahmachari reported to His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj. Gauranga Prabhu did this to me. And then what happened? The next day, Gauranga Prabhu went out for preaching. And then night he came back. And then he found somebody already on that spot. And then again with angry mood, I told you yesterday, this is my spot. And then he opened the face, and that was Maharaj. Yes, he was shocked. Oh, my guru immediately offered obeisances. And what happened? Radha Maharaj just walked out. And for 3 days, Gauranga Prabhu said, normally, every day they have conversation. Maharaj just throw his face away from Gauranga Prabhu. Not even smiling. What to speak of saying something, For 3 days, Maharaj was keeping him in silence, And then he felt like, oh, now he understood the lesson. And then after 3 days, finally, Maharaj called him. He said that, I'm just trying to give you a lesson. How Radhanath Maharaj speaks like so soft, like he always, I'm trying to give you a lesson. I'm trying to bring down your ego. It's not your spot. Anybody can sleep in this ashram in any place. And from that moment, he becomes like, here's one example. You have to digest the chastisement. Of course, right after that, he understood his mistake. And he offered obeisances as if Maharaj not acknowledging that he is present there in the front of him. But here is a great example. Okay, let's leave there this topic. I think more or less we get a clue on what we are dealing with. Yeah. Text 32, but those who, out of envy, disregard these teachings and do not follow them regularly are to be considered bereft of all knowledge, befooled and ruined in their endeavors for perfection. This is a lecture by Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, one who disagrees to become servant of God, he is befooled. It is said, but those who, out of envy, he is constitutionally servant, but he is envious. Why shall I become God's servant? I shall become God. You see, everyone is claiming, oh, everyone is God. Why? What is the use of becoming servant of God? I am God. This is enviousness. 33. Even a man of knowledge acts according to his own nature, for everyone follows the nature he has acquired from the three modes. What can reparation accomplish? So we may ask a question, if we all helplessly forced to act according to our nature, what is the use of many rules in the Sastra to regulate our activities? So the answer is that still, one may be influenced by Rajoguna, Tamoguna, or luckily if Sattva Gun, and then one may act according to that nature. If Krishna mentioned here that everyone is forcefully act according to his own nature, then what is the use of Sastra, rules and regulation in Sastra? Ultimately, still we have to try to follow the Sastra for our own benefit. That will regulate our life and upgrade our level of consciousness. Of course, for now, most of us, we are aiming toward Sattva Guna, to surpass the lower modes, the Rajogun and Tamogun. And by regularly following the Sastra, so we become upgraded in our consciousness. And then when we situate ourselves in Sattva Gun, it's easy for us to step to the next level, which is Visuddha Sattva, the pure goodness. 34. There are principles to regulate attachment and aversion pertaining to the senses and their objects. One should not come under the control of such attachment and aversion, because they are stumbling blocks on the path of self-realization. Purport. Those who are in Krishna consciousness are naturally reluctant to engage in material sense gratification, but those who are not in such consciousness should follow the rules and regulation of the revealed scriptures. Unrestricted sense enjoyment is the cause of material engagement, but one who follows the rules and regulation of the revealed scriptures does not become entangled by the sense object. Therefore, in spite of regulated sense enjoyment, there is every chance of falling down. Therefore, any attachment for regulated sense enjoyment must also be avoided by all means. So, within the scriptures, especially for those who are grihasthas, we are allowed to have some sense enjoyment, but it should be within the rules and regulation of the scriptures. But as what Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, that even though regulated sense enjoyment is okay, is sanctioned by the scripture, but if we are becoming addicted to this regulated sense enjoyment, we also can become the fall victim of Maya. Srila Prabhupada gave the analogy here. One has to follow these rules and regulations unattached to them, because practice of sense gratification under regulations may also lead one to go astray. The example is, as much as there is always the chance of an accident, even on the royal road. So ultimately, actually, regulated sense gratification also should be given up. For example, like we are in the Grihastha ashram, let's say we are in the Grihastha ashram, we are having this intercourse with our partner, but then, of course, that is sanctioned by the Vedas, it is within marriage, but then Pancha Urdhvam Vanam Rajat. When we reach 50, so we have to become detached. So ultimately, all kinds of sense enjoyment, including the one which is sanctioned by Sastra, should be given up. If we remain attached to this even regulated sense enjoyment according to the Sastra, then we will not develop our Krishna consciousness. Even in the matter of eating also. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Bhalo na khaibe or bhalo na paribe. One should not eat nice food stuff and should not dress luxuriously. How in the beginning, Srila Prabhupada himself would cook for his own disciples and feeding them, so much prasadam. And then later on in the class, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, if you already get the title of being a sannyas and you get second initiated, you have to reduce your eating. In the beginning, Srila Prabhupada would feed them for their purification. They need so much prasadam because they are Malaychas, they are Yavanas. They need this prasadam so much. But after some time, you have to reduce also your eating. Next 35. Srayan Swadharma Viguna Paradharma Svanurstitat Swadharme Nidanam Sraya Paradharmo Bhaya Vahaha. This is the text which explaining that better you perform your own duties, although imperfectly, rather than you perform someone else's duties perfectly. It is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duties perfectly. Distraction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duty, for to follow another's path is dangerous. The same verse, the first two lines, will be repeated by Krishna later in the 18th chapter. When one is under the spell of modes of material nature, one should follow the prescribed rules for his particular situation and should not imitate others. However, when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as Brahmana or Brahmana may act as Kshatriya. Yeah. Academically, one may be very learned, but because of his long association with material nature, he is in bondage. Krishna consciousness helps one to get out of the material entanglement. That's the answer being asked by Bhupalaka Prabhu. Academically, we may know the theory, the philosophy. But Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, the more we engage in our service and we get the realization. And regarding the last verse that we just read together, so it is better as long as we are still not liberated, not on the liberated platform, we have to perform our own duties. But if one is situated in a transcendental platform, he may act even though seemingly performing somebody else's duty. The example, let's say, for example, Parasuram. Lord Parasuram is a Brahmana because he's transcendental. And then he kills all these demoniac kings 21 times. Yeah, so he's a Brahmana but acting as Kshatriya because he is in a transcendental platform. Yeah. And then the next part of our discussion is that regarding lust. So Krishna will help us here to point out who is our enemy, where is his position, and how to defeat him. Like in a war, we are in a war actually. If we know who is our enemy, we know where is he situated, and we have the weapon, how to conquer the enemy. So Krishna will tell us here, lust is the greatest enemy, because Arjuna will argue again, okay, despite of our desire, not to act sinfully, but sometimes we are being forced. What is the cause? And Krishna will explain, it is because of lust. How lust appear? Rajoguna samudbhavaha, by the influence of the modes of Rajogun. Yeah, and where the lust situated, we'll find out in this section. Okay, so let me just read out all these slides first, and then we will have discussion if we have time, because we have only 15 minutes left. Okay, so from text 36 to 43, beware of lust and anger. Yeah. Arjuna asked Krishna, what forces us to act sinfully, abandoning one's prescribed activities or karma? Yeah. Krishna describes our eternal enemy in the form of lust. One can conquer lust by working in Krishna consciousness with steady intelligence, fixed in knowledge of one's pure identity. Yeah. This is a lecture from Srila Prabhupada. Anyway, this begging business is not for a householder or a military man. Therefore, Krishna says that don't try to imitate the business of a sannyasi or a brahmana. You are a kshatriya. Your duty is to fight, so you should follow your own prescribed duty. Don't try to imitate others, but one can attain perfection by being engaged in his own occupation, provided he does it in Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is asking him to fight, and he is a professional fighter. So if he fights in accordance with the order of Krishna, that is his perfection. This is the purport. So Arjuna, he doesn't want to fight, right? So this is sin for him because he doesn't want to follow his duty as kshatriya to protect the weak. Kshatriya. Kshat means hurt. Triya Triya means triety. So to protect. So kshatriya means one who protects the weak from getting harmed. So if Arjuna give up his duty of fighting, that means he's committing sinful activities. 36. Arjuna said, O descendant of Vrishni, by what is one impelled to sinful acts, even unwillingly, as if engaged by force? A living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme is originally spiritual, pure and free from all material contaminations. Therefore, by nature, he is not subject to the sins of the material world. But when he is in contact with material nature, he acts in many sinful ways without hesitation, and sometimes even against his will. Sinful actions are not, however, impelled by the supersoul within, but are due to another cause, as the Lord explains in the next verse. Yeah, we see also in the pastime of Ajamil in the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. After he saw this Sudrani embracing with this man, low class of man, in the public, and his mind was being disturbed, and then actually before he committing sinful activities, go to prostitution, this and that, actually it is described in the 6th canto, he was struggling. He tried, pray. I'm sorry. He prayed to the Lord. He tried so much, but then as it being forced, he falls victim of Maya. Yeah. Sometimes we may also act like this, We don't want to do this, but somehow we do it, Okay. So here is Krishna's response. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Kama Esa Kroda Esa Rajaguna Samudbhavaha Mahasano Mahapapma Vedyanam Ihavairinam. Mahasano Mahapapma. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is lust only, Arjun, which is born of contact with the material modes of passion, and later transformed into wrath, and which is the all-devouring sinful enemy of this world. Yeah. So kama appears from the modes of passion, Rajaguna, and then from this kama also appear anger. Yeah. So here's the principles. Why we become angry? We become angry when, here's the thing, when our material desire is fulfilled, we become greedy, lobha. So from kama, lobha and anger appear. So when the material desire get fulfilled, we become lobha, greedy. We are demanding for more. But when our material desire is not fulfilled, we become angry and frustrated. So both ways, fulfilling material desires, giving both effects. If we fulfill it, we are wanting for more. It's lobha. But if we cannot fulfill it, we become angry and frustrated. Yeah. This is an example, analogy given by Srila Prabhupada. Milk in contact with tamarind becomes yogurt. So similarly, prema becomes lust. Prema in the spiritual world becomes lust in the material world. That's why the terms I love you in this material world is not actually the real love that what all these people, the whole world misunderstood about. Because love means when we try to satisfy Krishna. But when people say that he's in love with someone, it's actually he has some selfish motive behind that, because ultimately he wants to please his own senses. I'm in love with this girl, or I'm in love with that boy. It's not love, but I'm in lust with that girl. I'm in lust with that boy. Ultimately, it's for my pleasure. But in the spiritual world, I'm in love with Krishna because I want to please Krishna. Everything I'll do for Krishna. This is real love. That's why prema, the topmost things in the spiritual world, as soon as it comes contact to the material world, becomes low, becomes karma. Yeah. The sense of love of God becomes transformed into lust. As milk in contact with sour tamarind is transformed into yogurt. When lust is unsatisfied, it turns into wrath. Wrath is transformed into illusion, and illusion continues the material existence. Yeah. In the second chapter, we have discussed the eighth circle. Dhyayata visayan pumsa sangastesu pajayate sangat sanjayate kama kamat krodo vijayate krodat bhavati samoha samoha smriti vibhrama buddhinasa buddhinasa pranasyati. Starting from contemplating sense object, Dhyayato Visayan Pumsa Sangastesu Upajayate, and then attachment comes, and then lust, anger, illusion, delusion, loss of memory. One's intelligence become corrupted, and then finally he falls down into the material pool, material existence. Yeah. Therefore, lust is the greatest enemy of the living entity, and it is lust only which induces the pure living entity to remain entangled in the material world. The origin of everything is the Supreme Brahman. Therefore, the origin of lust is also in the Supreme. We can also, again, yes, Rati Manjari Mataji blaming Krishna. Why he created this lust? It comes from him, originated from him. But it is in the diverted form. It is in the perverted form, sorry. Yeah. It's actually originated from Krishna. In what form? In the prema form, in the original form, love of Godhead. But because it is in contact with the material nature, becomes lust, like the milk in contact with tamarind becomes yogurt. Because we are here, so what we are experiencing is the lust itself. But please don't blame Krishna. Both lust and wrath can be spiritualized. Yeah, the example is that like the gopis, seemingly they are lusty, but when it's connected to Krishna, so they just want to please Krishna. Anger also can be spiritualized. How? By connected to Krishna. The example is Hanuman. Hanuman burning the whole Lanka. But he's doing this for his service to Lord Ram. Another example is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he becomes angry after Nityananda Prabhu being hit by Madhai. he becomes angry, but in order to protect the devotees. The other example is Arjuna. So Prabhupada mentioned later in the Nectar of Instruction, we will discuss this more. 3 examples. So Arjuna, Prabhupada mentioned, without being angry, it is not possible to fight. It is not possible to fight if one is not angry. Why you fight with your husband? Why you fight with your wife? Because you're angry. Why you slam the door? Because you are angry, right? So it's happened because of anger, we fight. Yeah. But when this fight is utilized in Krishna consciousness, then it becomes spiritualized. Like when Chankazi, being attacked by thousands of devotees holding up this fire, they are attacking Chankazi's house. The devotees in so much anger, because Srivas was being harassed, the Mridanga was broken down. So this kind of anger is proper anger. Yeah. Okay. Text number 38. As fire is covered by smoke, as mirror is covered by dust, or as the embryo is covered by the womb, the living entity is similarly covered by different degrees of this lust. Therefore, the human form of life is a chance for the living entity to escape the entanglement of material existence. In the human form of life, one can conquer the enemy, lust, by cultivation of Krishna consciousness under able guidance. So these are the 3 different levels how lust cover the living entities. Yeah. Here, the smoke covering the fire, that means the living entity gets the human form of life. So it's easy for the human being to develop Krishna consciousness. Yeah, because when there is, even when the smoke covered the fire, we still can see the fire, despite of being covered by the smoke. And then when the living entity gets the animal's body, it's just like the mirror covered by dust, thick dust. So it's not easy. And especially when the living entity gets the body of a tree, this is like a helpless condition, just like the baby inside the embryo. You cannot see anything. So the human form of life is the only chance that we get, in order to become liberated from the material entanglement. Text 39. Avyakam jnanametena jnanino nityavairina kamarupena kaunteya duspurena nalena cha. Thus, the wise living entity's pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. Kamarupena kaunteya duspurena nalena cha. Duspurena means difficult to conquer. Nalena cha, cannot be satisfied. Nitya vairinya means the eternal enemy. In the material world, the center of all activities is sex, and thus this material world is called Maitunya Agara, or the shackles of sex life. 40. The senses, the mind, and intelligence are sitting places of this lust. Through them, lust covers the real knowledge of the living entity and bewilders him. You see? Now Krishna informing us where is our enemy situated. First, he informed us, okay, please give me 5 minutes more, okay, just to finish up 3 more verses. First, Krishna informed us who is our enemy, the lust. And now Krishna informed us the sitting place of this lust, the location of our enemy. It is situated in the senses, mind, and one's intelligence. Okay. Mind is the center of all activities of the senses, and thus, when we hear about sense objects, the mind generally becomes a reservoir of all ideas of sense gratification. And as a result, the mind and the senses become repositories of lust. Lusty intelligence influences the spirit soul to acquire the false ego and identify itself with matter, and thus with the mind and senses, the spirit soul becomes addicted to enjoying the material senses and mistakes this as true happiness. So Krishna is giving you direct information. Here is your enemy, where senses, mind, intelligence. There is lust. So if you can understand, here is the enemy. And if you try to drive out the enemy, you take precaution. What is that precaution? You engage your senses in Krishna conscious activities. The lust will have no more place to attack your senses or sit on your senses. You engage your mind in Krishna. Immediately the lust from the mind will go away. Similarly, you apply your intelligence. How to work on Krishna consciousness. These are the process. Okay. 41. Therefore, O Arjun, best of the Bharatas, in the very beginning, curb this great symbol of sin, lust, by regulating the senses, and slay this destroyer of knowledge and self-realization. When love of God deteriorates into lust, it is very difficult to return to the normal condition. Nonetheless, Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can become a lover of God by following the regulative principles of devotional service. Positive and negative. Simply, negative is no good unless there is positive engagement. So Krishna consciousness is positive engagement. So there is no question of negative. Negative is already there. If you're taking nice food stuff, automatically you give up obnoxious and nonsense food stuff. But if I say, don't take this food stuff, this is not good. And if I don't supply you nice food stuff, naturally you are hungry, you will have to take whatever is there. So controlling the senses means engaging the senses in the positive way. We cannot just, control the senses and do nothing. We need to engage our senses in the service of the Lord. Yeah, like we cannot tell people stop eat meat. If you want to preach, stop eat meat. No, you cannot tell people just stop eating meat unless you provide them nice vegetarian food, nice prasadam vegetarian food. Otherwise, when they feel hungry, they will eat whatever. So that's also applicable for the senses. Text 42. The working senses are superior to dull matter. Mind is higher than the senses. Intelligence is still higher than the mind. And the soul, is even higher than the intelligence. If therefore the soul is directly engaged in the Supreme, naturally all other subordinates, namely the intelligence, minds, and senses, will be automatically engaged. Therefore, directly understanding the constitutional position of the soul is the solution of the whole problem. The last one. Thus, knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material senses, mind, and intelligence. O mighty Arjun, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus, by spiritual strength, conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. In the immature stage of material existence, philosophical speculations and artificial attempts to control the senses by the so-called practice of yogic postures can never help a man towards spiritual life. He must be trained in Krishna consciousness by higher intelligence. Okay. Desire for overlording and for sense gratification is the greatest enemy of the conditioned souls. But by the strength of Krishna consciousness, one can control the material senses, the mind, and the intelligence. One may not give up work and prescribed duties all of a sudden, but by gradually developing Krishna consciousness, one can be situated in transcendental position without being influenced by the material senses and the mind, by steady intelligence directed toward one's pure identity. This is the sum total of this chapter. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Finally, we have covered the third chapter, although in a bit rush at the end. I apologize for that. But the conclusion here is that in the third chapter, Krishna explained to Arjuna how to move, how to upgrade one's consciousness, how to go step to the higher level from karma kanda to karma yoga, and even if one is already being situated in the transcendental position, he still should act according to his own prescribed duties in order to set up the example. And then Arjuna is asking Krishna, but sometimes we act sinfully as if being forced, although unwillingly. What is the cause? And here Krishna explained in the last part of the chapter, it is lust, it's appear from Rajagun. Because, Prakriti Kriyamanani, we are influenced by the modes of material nature, and due to our long association, Karanam Guna Sangasya Sadasya Yoni Janmasu. So Karanam Guna Sangha, because of we are associating ourselves with the guna. Therefore, most of the people in the material world is influenced by Rajagun and Tamogun. So the last is our Vairinya, our enemy. So where is the last situated? In the senses, in the mind, and intelligence. But as Srila Prabhupada explained, if we engage our soul in the service of Lord, so automatically, because the senses, the mind, and intelligence, all are subordinate toward the soul. If we engage the soul in the service of the Lord, automatically all three others can be controlled. So lust is the enemy. The position is in the senses, in the mind, and the intelligence. And how to conquer our lust is by properly engaged in the service of the Lord. So this is called karma yoga. Of course, there are two types of karma yoga. One is sakama karma and one is niskama karma. Sakama karma means when we still have strong desire to enjoy. And niskama means when we already develop detachment from the enjoying the fruits of our activities. All right, I leave it up to this point. If any question, please ask in the next session, because some of you may have some other engagement, services. Today is Sunday, it's a busy day. Yes, we have to be always busy in Krishna consciousness. Thank you so much. Please read as much as you can, at least the translation for the next chapter, chapter 4. And we will meet again on Tuesday evening. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha. Patithanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo.